Podar, and with me, as always, is my co-anchor Pavitra Parekh. So, Pavitra, again, markets are looking good, but the mid-cap is a big worry for you today. In fact, the mid-caps are the ones which are underperforming the key indices by a huge margin, taking a dip of over 1%. The sell-off has really shifted to that particular pocket, but Bank Nifty is really doing well. Slight outperformance to Nifty 50, and when we take a look at Nifty 50, well, 17,691 level, which remember is a 100-point recovery from the low point of the day, but still lower than where Nifty 50 had opened today. To try to limp back to the opening level, still holding up with 85 points of gain. Sensex at this point, 0.73% gain at the moment. Some of the consumption stocks like Titan as well as Britannia and some of the others like Asian Paints are doing well. Bajaj Twins as well as HDFC Twins, they adding a lot of momentum. And on the downside, the ones who have recently joined us, take a look at Divi's Labs, a huge impact of the results, down over 8%, along with the Adani stocks, which continue to decline today on concerns. Pavitra.
Oh, absolutely. So it remains quite a volatile market, right? Even in the hours that we have been trading, we've seen that fair bit of volatility that we've been seeing every single day. While the Adani group of stocks is under pressure, I think what's encouraging is that the banks have sort of at least limited their cuts. The private banks are doing quite well. Some of the PSUs, of course, still under pressure. What's doing well today are names from the auto pack. So some of the larger ones will be up for you, the likes of Eicher, M&M, all doing so well. You have IT doing well because you saw that solid rally in the NASDAQ overnight, and that's reflecting in a lot of the IT names as well. And then consumption, so names like Titan, after their management commentary, are holding up just fine. So that's what's happening on the market action. But let's kickstart the show by talking about that big Adani story then. The Hinduja Group is looking to hike its stake in IndusInd Bank after the recent revision in RBI's private bank ownership guidelines. This is what sources have told CNBC TV 18. The promoters would need RBI's explicit permission to do so, which is yet to be sought. So Ritu Singh has been tracking the story closely and joins us now with all of the details. Ritu?
Well, that's right. We understand that the Hindujas are looking to hike their stake in IndusInd Bank to up to 26% after the recent revision in RBI guidelines, which allowed promoters to hold up to 26% stake versus 15% earlier. Now, through the promoter entity, which is IIHL Holdings, Hindujas own about 16.51% stake in the bank as of December, with voting shares at 15.16%. There's a few ways of going about increasing their stake to 26% if RBI does give them that crucial nod, and we understand they're still in the process of making that application to RBI. One way could be for the promoters to buy shares from the open market, but here there is a limitation because the foreign shareholding in private banks is capped at 74%, and that figure is already close to 66 to 67% for IndusInd Bank, so limited headroom there. The other way could be for the bank to issue shares through a QIP or a preference issue, but that also we understand is unlikely at this point because IndusInd Bank is not looking to raise equity capital in the near term. So we'll have to see how the promoters go about this, but step one will be securing that all-important RBI nod, for which certain preconditions will also have to be met by the promoters, including freeing up their existing promoter shareholding of any encumbrances, among other conditions. We reached out to IndusInd Bank for a comment, but they did not offer one for this story.
All right, thanks Ritu for all those important details. But CNBC TV 18, remember, has also reached out to IndusInd Bank, and sources clarified that no in-principle approval had been received for the stake hike yet, and that the bank is going to apply for the approval. All right, moving on, take a look at the stock of Titan. That's really shining in trade today, and the stock is buzzing despite posting, remember, a mixed quarter as the management remains bullish on the company's growth prospects. Earlier, we also spoke to Titan CFO Ashok Sonthalia, who says that they continue to attract new customers and are also targeting a 10% market share by the year 2027. Take a listen.
So we continue to see traction of getting new customers to our jewelry segment, and that gives us confidence that all these new customers, part of it definitely coming from competition to us. Typical industry long-term growth, if you bake that in, we believe by FY27 our market share should be 10%. Other categories are also growing pretty well for us. So sometimes these numbers become outcomes. So in absolute value, studded is of course growing, but in 3-4 years horizon, I definitely think that studded can inch up from its current contribution to our revenue. It should go towards 30%.
All right, that is the management of Titan. It is the top gainer on the Nifty, now up 5.5% and at the day's high. But with that, we are going to get into a short break now. When we come back, we'll bring you that promised big story on everything that's gone down with the Adani Group. So stay tuned for that complete. Hey guys, welcome back. You're still tuned into Business Lunch on CNBC TV 18. And some news from the global front as the United Kingdom gears up to strengthen economic relationships in the ASEAN region. UK Trade Minister Greg Hands says he's also confident of striking a deal with India soon. So let's listen in to some of those comments.
It is a huge prize, 1.4 billion potential actual consumers. Trade talks with India are always quite difficult. I think every country experiences that, but I'm confident of getting a good deal with India soon.
Welcome back. You're watching Business Lunch. Now, sources tell CNBC TV 18 that LIC will be scheduling a call with the management of Adani Group to understand the company's strategy at this point. And note that this comes amid a sell-off in its shares. Yash Jain joins us with all the latest details. Tell us, Yash.
Well, Nisha, it was January 30th when we last spoke to the LIC management, and that time they had made it very clear they are long-term investors in the market. They don't, act on trigger selling or trigger buying, and they will remain with their investments for a longer term. It's been about 7 trading sessions since then. The Adani Group stocks have seen a ferocious selling, and we try to reconnect with our sources in LIC to understand that in the last 7 trading sessions, if they've sold any of their holdings in the Adani Group companies. What we understand from our sources is that LICs remain with that investment practice of being long-term. They've not sold any of their holdings in the Adani Group stocks, let's say in the last 7 trading sessions. Also, what we're given to understand is that they plan to schedule a call with Adani management. This could happen next week, and this will be to understand the strategy at Adani Group with respect to various things in terms of business, their debt, outlook for business, on the stock price. All of those things are expected to be discussed between the largest institutional investor of the country and Adani Group management. This is what we've been picking up, and of course they have significant holdings in Adani Group stocks, but LIC out of its total AUM holds just about 0.97% in Adani Group. Also, as far as equity AUM is concerned, it stands at about 88% investment in Adani Group companies.
All right, Yash, thanks a lot for bringing us that latest. So we will keep, tracking this and bringing you updates on this as well. But sticking with the Adani story, the Adani Group's troubles are also causing disruptions in the parliament. So the opposition was seeking discussions over the developments in the Adani saga, and the parliament had to be adjourned over persistent demands for a joint parliamentary committee or Supreme Court-led investigation into this matter. So Parikshit is joining in to tell us what's really going on there. Parikshit?
Well, this is the main issue unifying the opposition in the budget session. This week has been a washout, and we believe that opposition parties are now considering to, yes, participate in the debate on the motion of thanks on the President's address, but use that opportunity to expose the government and demand answers from the government over the Adani controversy. Mallikarjun Kharge, the President of the Congress Party, has demanded a day-to-day update on the probe into the Adani Group. He has demanded either a JPC or a Supreme Court appointed probe into the government investments or PSU bank investments into the Adani Group. In the next few days, it's quite likely that opposition parties, at least 16 of them, may ask questions as to how much money has gone from public institutions like LIC, public sector banks like SBI and others into the Adani Group, and what is the status of those loans as well. There were at least 9 parties which gave a notice for suspension of the House to discuss the investments into the Adani Group. This was not accepted by the chairman of the Rajya Sabha or the speaker of the Lok Sabha. But yes, we can expect disruptions on this issue in the days to come. The government on its part says they do not need to reply or take up the issue of a private company on the floor of the House.
All right, Parikshit, thanks so much for getting us the latest coming in on this development. Let's also listen in to what Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi had to say on the Adani saga.
हमारा सरकार का लेना देना कुछ नहीं है, देयर इज एब्सोल्युटली नो कनेक्शन एंड राष्ट्रपति का अभिभाषण का चर्चा प्रायोरिटी रहता है। चर्चा शुरू करने के लिए तैयार है तो उनके पास कुछ मुद्दा नहीं है।
All right, that is the word coming in from the Parliamentary Affairs Minister on what's going on with the Adani Group, saying that the government does not have any role there. A quick look at the markets. We're seeing an 80-point gains. We've come significantly off the day's low. That's looking quite good. But the pain in the mid-cap index really continues. It's down 1.3% almost for the mid-cap index. And, you know, a quick look at the Divi's Lab stock as well, because like we were pointing out, very disappointing set of earnings coming through from Divi's, and that stock continues to reel under pressure, still down over 9%. So that's the kind of cut that you're seeing on Divi's Lab after earnings came in well below what was expected. And there's been a sharp contraction on the margins as well, where it's come in at just around 23%, 24% versus last year's figure of around 44%. So we are going to wind down on Business Lunch on that note. Thanks for tuning in, and closing bell comes up after this short break.